Welcome. How exciting. We're in the first episode of our podcast. This is an exciting project that we're putting together right now. We decided this a couple of days ago, but I'm excited about this project for many reasons. And I think that this particular episode is really just about us explaining to people what this podcast is going to be about, why we've decided to do this, and why this is going to be something that's a little bit different to what they're probably used to. Let's start with introducing ourselves, because I think that a lot of people know that you have opened Body by Brando, but they don't really know too much about that. And also people don't really know me too much. So let's kick things off with that.
Yeah, so I generally like to keep things brief when I'm talking about myself, but I'll get into it anyway. So currently I've got the 4 gyms. We've got scope to be opening more this year. There's a few more on the horizon. We're coming up to our 10-year anniversary in April, which is pretty exciting. So like you said, overnight success has only taken 10 years. It's been a fun journey. Obviously the co-director of Kaizen Collective, which has been 3 years in the making.
Yeah.
And after failing my second attempt at a gym, it really caused me to go into hyperdrive with my system. So I learned from a very quick age to start to systemize the things, and I started to become obsessive and compulsive. For those that don't know me, I do have a few different personas. One of them is very obsessive and compulsive. The second one is the cranky dad vibes, which probably most of our clients...
I've never noticed.
You haven't noticed,
Just so you're aware, I've never noticed the cranky dad vibe.
I do come across very cranky, but it's just me thinking.
100%.
The third one is the larrikin, or the annoying pest when I want to be, and I'll probably do that most of the time on the podcast and just G Mario up.
Ashley, if you're listening, this is, definitely you.
That's the true me, the pest me. And for those who haven't heard me talk, I usually talk quite fast and mumble a lot, so you're just going to have to listen harder. I'll do my best, but that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
I would probably say something that you have completely missed out, which is the fact that you are absolutely incredible at the dad jokes. If we were to just do a full episode on that, that's going to be a number 1 episode.
Yeah, I've already threatened Mario that if he ever has a sick day, that I'm going to turn that podcast into a dad jokes day and just not tell him and just post it, and it's probably going to be the highest views. Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised. That being said, let me introduce myself, because I kind of just like to keep things to myself, but I think it's very important to note that my journey kind of started when I was 15 years old. It was very early age. I was always obsessed about working, which I think is really interesting because that kind of has carried over to where I am right now. So when I was 15, I'm turning 35 this year, actually, 2024. I started working at KFC, and I really just wanted to keep moving up the ranks. So I stayed there for almost 10 years, going from a team member to an all-star, which is front of house and back of house, assistant manager, restaurant manager, acting area manager. And that really taught me about systems and operations. I think people think they know what systems are, but the fact that at that time, KFC was making 1.6 billion a year or something along those lines.
Shit.
And the fact that you can actually have a store with 50 to 70 team members between the ages of 15 to 18 that can run a multi-million-dollar store was actually such a big deal. I didn't realize how amazing that was. So I did that when I was young. I also didn't realize that I had ADHD. I thought I was just interested in so many things. So I went from working at KFC to completing my degree in performing arts. And then after performing arts, I got into the fitness industry and then worked on cruise ships. And that was kind of like the turning point for me. And that's how I got into this industry, because I learned how to sell at the very start of my fitness business journey, and went from $2,000 a week in revenue to making $20,000 a week in sales on cruise ships. So I learned how to sell there, and then I just had this obsession with constantly developing myself. So got into sales, got into marketing, got into coaching, and I've been in the industry for quite a while now. When it comes to coaching, I'm obsessed with human behavior, psychology, sales, marketing, operations. And I think that this is probably why I wanted to collaborate with you in this podcast, because one thing that I always drive home is that marketing should change more lives than your business ever can. And I believe that what we do here with this podcast is that this is probably going to impact a lot of lives indirectly, even if they don't work with us. And that's what I'm excited about.
Thanks for making my intro seem really lame. Yours was a great story. I also worked at Macca's too, if anyone cares.
Oh, brilliant. Let's talk about what to expect from the podcast. I feel like there's a fresh take that we're going to be bringing in here, because you are, I would say, probably someone that just executes and gets it done. So I think that people will see you shooting from the hip, just saying it how it is.
Raw,
Unfiltered.
raw dogging it. Like that.
Lots of off-the-cuff jokes. But what else do you think we'll be covering in this podcast?
Yeah, so I'm not a massive podcast listener for that reason, is because I feel like most podcasts for me just ramble on. I like to get straight to the point. I like things that are off the cuff, and I wanted to make this fun.
Yeah.
That's what we talked about, was making sure that we do things differently. We wanted to make sure that we're entertaining as the first thing, because if we can entertain and hold your attention, then you might start to listen to what we're talking about, and hopefully that education will start to sink in.
And I think that we're also going to be talking a lot about first-hand experience, the knowledge and the experience that you've had working in behind the scenes with the 4 gyms, and all the mistakes that you've made, all the mistakes that I've made, all of the things that our clients have actually been able to learn from us. We're going to be teaching that to everyone, because I think that it's important for people to hear the stories but also know the action steps. I think that's very important for us.
Yeah, I think the way that I will deliver content, we're going to keep it short, sharp. There's going to be a combination of us interviewing each other for the most part. There's going to be us interviewing some special guests. There's going to be us interviewing some clients to really show you behind the scenes what we do and what they do, and how, you know, we've helped them and how they've helped themselves. The podcast for me is going to be mostly about things that I wish I knew 10, 11 years ago when I first started.
I love that.
So if I can pass on that knowledge, like we've got some wisdom that we've accumulated over the time, and I want to be able to pass that on to other people, because the first few years was a struggle. Like, it's easy to show the highlight reels now and, you know, what we've got and the life that we're living. And that's what we sort of wanted to show, was both sides of, if we can help speed up your journey and help you miss some of those speed humps and just fast track that for you, then that's what we're trying to achieve.
And I think that that's also one thing that we don't really talk about, right? The amount of sacrifices you've had to make, the sacrifices that we've all had to make to be able to get to where we are right now. Those are the things that we do want to share, because we want people to know that it's not just all rainbows and daisies as much as we want it to be, but on the other side of that, it's incredibly rewarding.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what we really want to show, is that we are thinking about calling the podcast Make Business Fun Again, because we do want to get that back, and we want to show people that once you do get through those years of, you know, the oh fuck moment and the is this ever going to end, where's the light at the end of the tunnel, you can actually have that freedom. And we talk about making sure that we have, you know, freedom of finances, but also freedom of time. And for me, over these last, you know, 20 months having Rupee, it's really been rewarding to see that the work that I put in for the first 10 years is now starting to really show the fruits of the labor.
It's fascinating how 10 years kind of just feels like that now, right?
It went so quick.
It's crazy. Soon enough, we're just going to be like winkly as fuck.
I already am. So one of the other main reasons was, you know, I do come across serious and dry, but we wanted to make sure that when we do the podcast, you know, behind the scenes, we are actually more bubbly than probably what we come across on socials will meet.
It's the actual opposite.
It's the opposite. Yeah, you're right.
On the front end, I am the happy, chirpy, like rainbows and daisies kind of guy. But in the back end, I'm just like so serious about the things that needs to be done. Whereas on the front end, that's the complete opposite for you. So the dad jokes are just never ending.
Yep, they're going to come. But the crux of what we're going to be teaching about is pretty much the education behind how to build a business. So we talk about how to grow, systemize, and then scale your business. And the key component of that is learning the skills to grow, learning how to manage a team, the staff aspect, and then building out the systems behind that so that you can start to rely on your team and know that they've got those skills to replace you, so that you can start to have that freedom to either go again, open a second, third, fourth location, or just have that time that you wanted and the reason why you started your business in the first place. So living is the outcome.
I think it's important for us to be able to talk about how simple business actually is if you execute the right things. So we're going to be diving deep into skills, staff, systems, and just hone in on every single aspect of those, because that's really all you need to focus on in business to grow.
And it's taken us a few years. We've been through different products with our clients, but we're starting to realize now we've got it pretty nailed. Like, we put them through the cash cow blueprint to start with, which is everything to do with marketing and sales and figuring out what your business is about, what you do, so that you can amplify that and spread that message to the greater world. Once you've done that, you should have cash that's flowing. When you've got cash that's flowing, you then need to start to learn how to break the bottleneck. How do you take yourself out of the business and not have everything rely on you, so that everything's feast and famine based on your energy? Once we do that, we can start to systemize with the perfect processes, and we can really help businesses understand that if they do create some systems and some operating procedures, then they can be like the KFCs, they can be like the McDonald's, and not have to rely on the owner operator. They can rely on the team, which is sort of where we're at now.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. But also the real reason is because I talk a lot and I just can't do short form content. So this is why we're doing this.
We needed the 20 to 25 minute mark so that Mario could articulate his thoughts.
To preach my thoughts.
So if you are listening to this and you have a business and you're starting to think, what next? The thing is, if you don't take action and start to learn these skills, then you're going to start to feel burnt out. Everything's going to rely on you. You're going to be riding the waves of feast and famine, so that everything relies on you and your energy. The long-term result is you'll probably end up with failure. But if you do start to learn these skills, not only will they help you right now, you're going to, I always say that you can't unlearn what you've learned. So they're going to benefit you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You're going to be more available both physically and emotionally. I've been through this myself when all I could think about was work and trying to grow the brand. So I said it before, I'm obsessive and compulsive. And when I get, obsessive about something, I can't switch off. And I'm sure for those that are listening, are you laughing at that?
Yeah. Direct eye contact to the camera.
Yeah. And for those that are similar, then you probably realize that it's not really based because you want to do it. It's probably based out of necessity, because you know that if you don't do that, then the business will fail. And I've been through that myself, is that everything relied on me, and it wasn't a good place to be. So I wasn't emotionally available. I wasn't physically available speaking to people. So I want to show that if you do understand these skills, then you can move away from that and start to have that freedom. You want to be able to have that financial freedom, but also that time freedom to live life on purpose. And it can be done.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that on kind of like at a deeper level, if I was to think about who this podcast is really for, it's for those burnt out parents that want to make ends meet and they've got a fitness business thinking that they can't succeed because there's a whole nother layer. For some unknown reason, we've attracted a lot of parents in our coaching business, and they want to be able to not necessarily make millions and millions of dollars, but to actually make a decent living, to spend time with their kids, to be able to actually create that level of meaning and security and safety for their family. I think that's really important, and we will discuss it through that lens quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely. Like through my 20s, that's all I wanted to do was become a millionaire and do that.
I thought you meant become a dad.
No, now that I am a dad, I'm pretty happy that I am. And that's exactly right, is once you become a parent, now it's less about the money. I'm glad I've got the money to give me the freedom.
That's exactly it.
But as I was saying to Tony before, it's more about like, I come home from work and I want to be finished by 3 to 4 o'clock because that's my time with Rupee. And I would pay almost any amount of money for someone else to do my work so that I can spend that time with him.
How many rupees would you pay?
So bad. So thanks for watching or listening, whichever streaming service you're on. We're going to be putting this on YouTube with some visuals so you can see how pretty Mario is. But also, on the podcast site so you can hear how silky smooth my voice is. So make sure you subscribe to those channels. We've got plenty of free resources on the website. We're constantly adding more, so make sure you're diving into those. If you want to reach out to us, you can send us a message on Instagram. So jump on there and stay tuned. We've got some pretty cool podcasts lined up already. The next one we're going to be posting is going to be about business breakups, the ups and downs of working with a partner. And we thought that was pretty fitting to have that as our first episode, given the journey that Mario and I have been on. So if you want to hear about that, make sure you tune in.
The shirts are a contrast. We are literally the opposite. It's fantastic.